You spent $6.50 on a bag of specialty coffee this morning. That's about 40 cents per ounce. Meanwhile, the weeds you pulled from your garden yesterday, bagged, dried, and sold at any health food store, fetched $12, $18, sometimes $30 per ounce. You didn't throw away a nuisance. You threw away a fortune. Here's the number that should stop you cold. Americans spend over $3 billion a year on herbicides trying to kill plants that functional medicine clinics now prescribe, that Michelin-starred restaurants pay premium prices to source, and that indigenous communities across 3 continents have used as daily nutrition for thousands of years. The weed problem in your garden isn't what you think it is. The problem isn't that these plants are there. The problem is that nobody told you what they actually are. Today, at Grow with Ease, we're flipping everything you thought you knew about garden pests. These are 12 common weeds growing in yards right now that are worth more per ounce than your morning coffee. And after this, you will never look at a dandelion, a patch of chickweed, or a sprawling mat of purslane the same way again. Stick around to number 9 because that one is already being harvested from abandoned lots and sold to restaurants for $22 an ounce. And is almost certainly growing in yours. Number 1. Purslane. That thick jade-colored succulent sprawling across your driveway cracks, the one you've been yanking out by the fistful, contains more omega-3 fatty acids than any other leafy green on the planet, not comparable to, more than. While you're spending $30 on fish oil capsules every month, Purslane is manufacturing the same essential fatty acids for free in the gaps between your stepping stones. NASA studied it as a candidate for long-duration space missions. Indigenous communities across North Africa, the Middle East, and the American Southwest have eaten it as a daily vegetable for millennia. In Mexico, it's called verdolaga and sautéed with pork and tomatillos. In Greece, it's dressed with lemon and olive oil and served at family tables. The science is real. Purslane delivers alpha-linoleic acid, the plant-based omega-3, in concentrations that outperform flaxseed by some measures, along with vitamin E, beta-carotene, magnesium, and potassium. Health food stores sell dried purslane for $18 per ounce. Harvested young in the morning when the stems snap clean, eat it raw in salads, sauté it lightly, or pickle the stems for a tart, cucumber-like condiment that keeps for weeks. Number 2. Dandelion. Every bright yellow flower mocking your lawn is worth more than the fertilizer you're using trying to kill it. Every single part of the dandelion, root, leaf, and flower is edible, medicinal, and increasingly expensive. Dandelion root extract supplements run $25 to $40 per bottle. The raw dried root sells for $12 per ounce. And yet, the average American suburban lawn contains enough dandelion biomass to supply a small apothecary. Medieval physicians prescribed it. 12th century abbess Hildegard of Bingen named it in her healing texts. Traditional Chinese medicine has used it for over 1,000 years for liver and digestive support, and modern research out of the University of Maryland has since validated the specific compounds responsible for those effects. The bitter principles in dandelion leaves, the very thing that makes raw leaves challenging to eat, are precisely what make them medicinally valuable. They stimulate bile production and digestive function in ways that mild, cultivated greens simply cannot replicate. Roast the roots for a rich, coffee-like tea. Add young spring leaves to salads before the bitterness peaks. Batter and fry the flowers. You're not foraging a weed, you're harvesting a crop that was cultivated in European monastery gardens for centuries before lawn culture convinced us it was a problem. Number 3. Chickweed. While you're spending $12 on organic microgreens at the farmer's market, this delicate plant with its tiny star-shaped flowers is producing complete protein, all essential amino acids, in the edges of your lawn. Health food stores charge $14 per ounce for dried chickweed capsules marketed for joint inflammation and skin health. The fresh plant growing outside your door contains the same compounds. Here's what makes chickweed genuinely extraordinary among wild plants. It keeps producing through winter. When frost kills your lettuce, chickweed pushes new growth under ice and snow, delivering vitamin C precisely when winter diets are most depleted of it. Medieval foraging calendars tracked its first spring emergence as the official end of what they called the hunger moon, the dangerous gap between winter stores running out and spring crops coming in. Villages with access to chickweed had measurably lower mortality years during famine years. That's not folklore, that's documented history. Harvest the top 3 inches of growth. It tastes mild and slightly sweet, perfect raw in salad, or wilted briefly in butter. The window is early spring and again in autumn when cooler weather brings a second flush of tender growth. Number 4. Lamb's quarters. Native American tribes cultivated this plant as a primary food crop for thousands of years before corn became dominant, and modern nutritional analysis explains exactly why. Lamb's quarters delivers more calcium than most dairy products, more vitamin C than oranges, and more iron than spinach. It's a close botanical relative of quinoa, which you're currently paying $8 per pound at the grocery store. Lamb's quarters thrives in disturbed, nutrient-rich soil, which is why it shows up in gardens so reliably. Plants pushing through challenging conditions concentrate nutrients as a survival mechanism, and this one concentrates them remarkably. The leaves' distinctive silvery white dusting isn't damage or disease, it's a waxy coating that locks in moisture and signals the plant's exceptional mineral density. Young leaves are tender with a mild, slightly earthy flavor ideal for cooking. Older leaves develop more character and stand up well to sautéing with garlic. The seeds that form in late summer are also edible and nutritious. Treat them like quinoa because they essentially are. Let a few plants go to seed deliberately. You'll have a self-sowing crop next year that requires 0 effort.
Number 5. Stinging nettle. Few plants in the world have the same paradox built into them. The very thing that makes nettles painful to touch is the thing that makes them medicinally valuable. Those hollow silica needles that inject formic acid into your skin, medieval healers used deliberate contact as a treatment for arthritis, triggering increased blood flow to painful joints. They called it urtication, and rheumatologists now understand exactly why it works as a counter-irritant. But nettles aren't just a folk remedy. They are one of the most nutritionally complete plants available. More iron than spinach, more calcium than milk, complete protein with all essential amino acids present. Dried nettle leaf sells for $20 per ounce at specialty herb shops. Young spring shoots, the top 4 to 6 inches before the plant flowers, cook down like spinach and lose their sting entirely with heat. Nettle has fed Europeans through famines, wars, and hard winters since before recorded history. The Scots made nettle soup. Scots-Irish settlers carried the knowledge to Appalachia. Today, it grows wild along fence lines and stream banks across most of North America, nutritionally superior to nearly anything you'll find in a produce aisle, and absolutely free. Use gloves to harvest. Use heat to cook. Use it the way generations of people did, as a staple, not a nuisance. Number 6. Plantain, broadleaf. This plant grows in compacted soil where nothing else will, between sidewalk cracks, in worn footpaths, in the most beaten-down corners of your yard. Native Americans called it white man's footprint because it appeared wherever European settlers traveled. That resilience isn't just survival, it's a signal that this plant is concentrating specific healing compounds in conditions that would destroy more fragile species. Plantain contains allantoin and aucubin, compounds that reduce inflammation, stop bleeding, and accelerate tissue repair. Crush a fresh leaf and apply it to a cut, insect bite, or bee sting. The anti-inflammatory response is measurable, fast, and the same reason expensive wound care supplements now isolate these compounds and sell them back to you in capsule form at $18 per ounce. The seeds forming on the plant's distinctive upright spikes are rich in soluble fiber, the exact same fiber in psyllium husk supplements that sell for $15 per bag. Young leaves are edible, with a mild, bitter flavor that softens with cooking. This plant has been providing free first aid and free food in the same footprint for centuries. Leave a patch of it growing. You'll reach for it before you reach for anything in your medicine cabinet. Number 7. Red clover. Walk past a patch of red clover in full bloom and you can hear it, buzzing with pollinators, alive in a way that a mowed lawn never is. But the value of red clover runs far deeper than what the bees know. The flowers contain isoflavones, compounds that women's health supplement companies extract and sell for $30 to $50 per bottle. The raw, dried flowers sell for $16 per ounce. The plant producing them grows freely in any field, roadside, or garden edge that hasn't been sprayed. Beyond its medicinal compounds, red clover is a nitrogen-fixing legume. Its roots host bacteria that pull nitrogen directly from the air and deposit it into the soil as free fertilizer. Every patch of red clover you allow to grow is simultaneously improving the ground beneath it, feeding pollinators, providing edible flowers for teas and salads, and producing compounds that pharmaceutical companies are actively extracting for high-margin supplements. The flowers have a naturally sweet, honey-like flavor. Dry them for tea, add them fresh to summer salads, or simply let them do their work in the soil and harvest a handful whenever you need them. The Amish have planted red clover between vegetable rows for generations, not because they had no choice, but because they understood that sometimes the best thing you can grow in a gap is a plant that quietly makes everything around it better. Number 8. Wood sorrel. Those tiny shamrock-shaped leaves folding up at night like they're protecting something. They are. Wood sorrel contains oxalic acid, the same compound that gives rhubarb its distinctive tartness and that specialty food distributors now sell to high-end restaurants at a premium. Those tiny yellow flowers and heart-shaped leaves deliver more vitamin C than oranges, a bright citrus punch without a single citrus tree in the ground. This is the plant that saved sailors from scurvy on long voyages when citrus wasn't available. Native American tribes called variations of it their spring tonic, the first sour green after long winters that replenished what months of stored food couldn't provide. The flavor is genuinely delightful, clean, lemony, complex. Michelin-starred chefs use it as a garnish. It sells fresh at specialty produce markets for $22 per ounce when it can be found at all. You don't need to find it. It finds you. It grows in shaded spots, garden edges, the base of trees, anywhere the soil stays slightly cool. Harvest the leaves and flowers together. Add them to salads for a citrus element that requires no dressing. Tuck a handful into grain bowls, fold them into soft cheeses, or simply eat them as you walk through the garden the way foragers have for 10,000 years.
Number 9. Amaranth. The Aztecs built an empire on this plant. They traded it like gold, used it in sacred ceremonies, and fed entire armies on its seeds, which contain more complete protein than quinoa, with all 9 essential amino acids present. When Spanish conquistadors arrived and recognized how central amaranth was to Aztec culture, they banned its cultivation in an attempt to break the civilization's foundation. The plant survived anyway. It always does. UNESCO has declared amaranth a crop that could help feed the world's future. Health food stores sell it for $8 per pound as an exotic ancient grain. The exact same species, the towering red-stemmed giant with dramatic flower spikes you've been pulling from your garden, is growing for free in vacant lots and garden edges across the entire United States right now. Young leaves taste like spinach with twice the protein. As the plant matures, the dense flower heads become seed factories, each producing thousands of tiny nutritional powerhouses. One plant can feed a family for weeks if you let it. Harvest leaves continuously from the growing tips to keep the plant producing. Allow a few plants to go to full seed in late summer. Cut the heads and thresh the seeds over a sheet. Grind them into flour, Cook them like porridge or pop them in a dry pan like tiny, nutty popcorn. The Aztecs weren't wrong. Number 10. Mallow, common. This is the plant that gave marshmallows their name before manufacturers replaced its natural healing gel with corn syrup and gelatin and forgot to tell anyone. Original marshmallows were made by whipping the root gel of the mallow plant with honey or sugar, creating a confection that actually soothed sore throats instead of causing them. The same mucilaginous gel that pharmaceutical companies now synthesize for throat lozenges and digestive aids grows freely in your disturbed soil right now. Every part of the mallow is edible. The round, scalloped leaves taste like mild lettuce. The pink flowers make gorgeous edible garnishes. The immature seed pods, called cheeses by children because they resemble tiny cheese wheels, are nutty and satisfying eaten straight off the plant. The roots contain the highest concentration of healing mucilage used for centuries to soothe burns, stomach inflammation, and respiratory irritation. Traditional healers called it the cure-all plant. Modern herbalists sell dried mallow leaf for $14 per ounce. Let it grow in a corner of your garden. Use the leaves as a mild salad green, the flowers as garnish, and the roots dried in tea for any time inflammation is the problem. The plant you've been treating as a nuisance has been gently trying to be useful all along. Number 11. Violet. Those heart-shaped leaves and purple flowers carpeting the shaded areas under your trees aren't just pretty, they're edible treasures with a vitamin C content that exceeds oranges and a demand from the cosmetic industry so strong that major skincare brands now extract their compounds for anti-aging serums sold for $80 per ounce. In your garden, they cost nothing. Crystallize the flowers in egg white and fine sugar for elegant desserts. Freeze them in ice cubes for summer drinks that make everyone ask questions. Add the leaves raw to salads or cook them like spinach. Let them naturalize in shaded spots where grass won't grow well anyway. They're doing you 3 favors at once: feeding you, feeding pollinators, and covering ground that would otherwise grow nothing but more frustration. Number 12. Hairy bittercress. This tiny rosette plant that pops up in every garden bed in early spring, producing those little white flowers you brush off without thinking, is one of the most underappreciated wild greens available in cold climates. It tastes like a cross between watercress and arugula, sharp, peppery, clean. High-end restaurants in London and New York source it specifically from specialty foragers and pay accordingly. Bittercress is loaded with vitamin C, glucosinolates, the same beneficial compounds found in broccoli and other brassicas, and minerals that early spring diets lack. It arrives precisely when your body has been through a winter of stored food and needs exactly what it offers. Medieval foragers knew the timing. They watched for it. They harvested it first. It's a cold season plant, appearing in late winter and early spring before most crops are in the ground. Harvest the whole rosette by pinching at the base and use it the way you'd use watercress, in sandwiches, on grain bowls, wilted briefly into soups and stir-fries. It will also reseed prolifically if you allow even one plant to flower, giving you a naturalized patch that shows up every year without any effort on your part. From the omega-3 factory in your driveway crack to the ancient Aztec grain growing in your fence line, these 12 plants represent something that got lost somewhere between the first lawnmower and the first bottle of Roundup. The understanding that nature doesn't grow pests, it grows an abundance of things we haven't yet taken the time to understand. Every one of these plants survived centuries of human history because they were genuinely useful as food, as medicine, as nutrition during the times when nothing else was available. They didn't disappear from our tables because we got busy, got comfortable, and forgot to look down. Which of these 12 surprised you the most, and which one are you going to stop pulling and start harvesting this season? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. If this changed how you see what's growing in your yard, hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who has been waging war on a plant that's worth more than their morning coffee. Ready to make gardening simple and rewarding? Subscribe to Grow with Ease and start growing smarter today. Your garden and your grocery bill will both thank you.